Hi, this is the second video in the series of JWT Validation Policy. In the previous video, I have given you an overview of JWT tokens and the JWT Validation Policy. We have also created a client application in Okta, and we have two scopes in the default authorization server of Okta. So let's go to Okta again. And here from the left-hand side, I'm going to click on Applications, and under it I have applications, and I would like to remind you that we have this top investment app client application created. And if I click on this application, then I have the client credentials which I have already copy pasted in my Word document over here. Okay. And from the left hand side, I can click on security, under which I have API, and here we have the default authorization server. If we click on the default authorization server and click on scopes, we can see the scopes which we have created. From the settings, we can see the metadata URI. And as we have seen in our previous video, we can click on this metadata URI and we can get the token endpoint and JWKS URI. And what about JWKS URI? I have explained about JWKS URI in my previous video. So all these details, the JWKS URI and the token endpoint, I have already copy pasted in my Word document. Okay. So let's move ahead and let's go to the API design. So this is the ranking API which I have created in my API designer. So assume that there is a company who has this ranking API which returns a list of companies which are ranked according to the market capitalization. So the clients like investment application, news application, they can access this API to get the list of all the companies, their rankings based on the market capitalization. Okay. So now let's go to ATI Manager, and I already have this API instance created over here. This is an API instance of type Proxy Endpoint. So the proxy application is generated and deployed on the Cloud Hub worker, which is pointing to the ranking API implementation, which is also deployed on the Cloud Hub worker. So I am going to click on this API instance now. Okay. And let's click on policies. And as of now, you can see that there are no policies applied. So let's go and click on the settings again from the left hand side, and I'm going to copy this proxy URL and I'll go to Postman and I'm going to paste this URL. Then I'm going to specify /proxy/companies. And it is going to give me the list of companies with its rank as well as market capitalization. Fine. So now let's move ahead and go to the policies tab and apply the JWT validation policy. So I'm going to click on add policy. And here I'll go down and under security, we have the JWT validation policy. So I'm going to select this radio button and I'm going to click on next. And let's configure the policy. First of all, we have to configure JWT origin. So the JWT validation policy is going to validate the JWT token, right? We discussed that. But from where is it going to pick the JWT token? As per the configuration in this policy, we can specify it based on some custom expression, or we can specify HTTP bearer authentication header. In this case, it will expect the JWT token to be in HTTP bearer authentication header. I'll keep the first radio button selected. JWT signing method. As I told you that the JWT token can be signed using algorithm like RSA or HMAC. In our case, we are using RSA. So I'll keep the RSA selected. Then we have to specify the JWT signing key length, which is 256 in our case. So I'll keep it selected. JWT key origin. Here I am going to select JWKS and I am going to specify the JWKS URI, which I have got from the metadata of the default authorization server. So I'll go over here and I'll copy this JWKS URI and I'm going to paste it over here. Fine. Now, after that, there is a TTL, time to live. I'll keep it as it is. And connection timeout for JWKS, I'll keep it as it is. Then whether we want to skip the client ID validation, yes, we want to. I'll select it. And I'm not going to select any of the checkboxes for the claims. So if you want to know about more about client ID validation and claims, validating these claims, you can see my course on API Manager, which is there in Udemy. And there are a lot of details in that course, along with the information regarding JWT validation policy in detail. Okay. So as I told you that the JWT validation policy is going to validate the JWT token based on two things. It is going to validate the signature, and if we configure the claims, it is going to validate the claims as well. So as of now, no claims are configured. JWT validation policy is only going to validate the signature of the JWT token with the help of this JWTs URI. So let's go ahead and click on the apply button. It is going to apply the policy. Fine. So if you want to see whether the policy is applied successfully or not, we can go to Runtime Manager. We can see the proxy application which is deployed over there. We can click on our proxy application and click on the logs button. And we can see that the policy is applied properly. Okay, you can see applied policy in application ranking proxy. So now let's go to Postman and let's try to hit this URL again. Let's click on the send button and notice that we have got the response back that JWT token is required. So we need to provide the JWT token. So how to get the JWT token? We have to hit the token endpoint of the default authorization server, and then we are going to get the access token, which is in the form of JWT token. So how to do that? First of all, let's select the post. And now let's go over here, and I have this token endpoint, and I'll go and paste it over here. Then I'll click on the authorization tab, and here I'm going to select the basic auth. And here I have to copy paste the username and password, the client ID and client secret of the client application which we have created in the Okta. So it is already there. Okay, so I'll copy it. So this is the client ID and client secret of top investment app. And I'm going to copy it and paste it, the client ID and client secret over here. Fine. Then we will go to the body tab, and I'll click on the XWW form URL encoded, and I have to specify key value over here. So the first key is grant underscore type, and the value is client underscore credentials. The second one is scope, and I am going to specify get underscore scope. Fine. So now let's click on the send button, and I have got the access token back, and scope is get scope. This is the JWT token. So I'll copy this access token, and let's go to jwt.io. So let's go to jwt.io and let's paste this access token over here. And you can see the header, algorithm. We have used RSA and 256, right? And in the payload, you can see a lot of information like issuer, audience, issued at, expiry date, and scope, subject, and so on. Okay. So these are all claims which are there in the payload. Now let's go back to the Postman, and we have this access token. We have to use this to access our API. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to another tab. Here, the JWT access token is to be specified. So I'll go to the authorization tab, and from the type, I'll select bearer token. Remember, in the JWT validation policy, we have specified that the token is expected in the bearer token. So I'll select it, and in the token, I will paste this token, and I'm going to click on the send button, and notice that I have got the response back successfully. So I hope you have understood how to apply the JWT validation policy. Thank you.